think it was longtime supporter of the channel, my buddy Glenn, who said that when I sit on the hood of my Jeep here, I look like a middle-aged delinquent. And since I really like the sound of that phrase, it's time for basically Wee Beastie 2 here, number 2, because it's my second Patriot since 2008 I've been driving these. It's been giving me some undesirable transmission shifting. Sometimes I get a really hard kind of a double downshift. I think it's 5 to 4, might be 4 to 3. It's only once in a while, but I'm hoping that a fluid change will look after things. Can't change the filter, it's internal. Split the case to change it, so we're just doing fluid. And that requires a special dipstick and special fluid, of course. But anyway, I thought it'd be a good opportunity to talk a little bit about the Jeep Patriot and its sibling, the Compass, and its cousin, the Caliber, and kind of dispel some myths. So a lot of people get these confused with Liberties and Commanders. It is not, it is Caliber based. So in 2006, the Caliber hit the market, was pretty popular. But one of the things that wasn't popular was the CVT transmission. It's an ISIN unit manufactured by Jatco, can be found in a bunch of Nissans nowadays. But it was so unliked that Chrysler actually programmed fake shift points into it. And then if you have the auto stick transmission, you can select from 6 ratios, which are just preset on the pulleys. So it's not a 6-speed, but that caused a lot of confusion later on in 2014. And I'll get to that in a moment. Initially in 2007, when the Compass came out, followed shortly by the Patriot, they had an early CVT. Later that was replaced with the CVT2 and then the CVT2L. So by 2008, there had actually been 5 different transmissions installed in these, if you count the 5-speed manual. The Caliber RT, for example, has the same engine, actually the 2.4, and it was all-wheel drive. But the SRT Caliber, which had the turbo, never got all-wheel drive because the transfer case just couldn't handle it. So they were all front-wheel drive. In the Patriot especially, and the Compass, if you got the off-road package, you'd get a low range instead of the auto stick, and seems to be a little sturdier than the regular CVT. In 2014, Chrysler struck a deal with Hyundai, knowing that the transmission would bolt up to these engines because they're shared with Hyundai and Mitsubishi. If you got a automatic with the 2.4 and it didn't have the off-road package after 2014, then you have the Hyundai-built 6F24 automatic transmission. And they seem to be pretty solid units. I'm approaching 200,000 kilometers here, or maybe a bit over actually. And so I'm going to do a fluid change, but there's some differences compared to doing this job with a Hyundai. It actually takes a little more fluid in these because it's mounted, I'm told, at a different angle than it would be in a Hyundai. So this transmission is also found in Dodge Darts, of course the Compass. The Caliber was out of production by then, so it never got this, but it's in Hyundai Tucsons and just a whole mess of vehicles. So after 2014, when Fiat took over Chrysler, the only way to get a CVT was if you had a 2-liter front-wheel drive automatic, or if you had the 2.4-liter 4x4 with the off-road package, then you had the CVT2L. Otherwise, if it's an automatic, it's a 6-speed Hyundai. Simple as that. Let's get started. Okay, I went inside and I was lazy instead. Well, I had some other things to do anyway, so didn't get as far as this as I maybe wanted to before work, but nevertheless, I'm going to lay some groundwork. I did get my bench cleared off, and I'm I'm going to remove the under tray from the engine, which is a process I believe we've discussed before here on the Patriot, so I'm not going to go over that again. It's just some push pins behind the wheels, which is a little awkward, and a few bolts underneath, and it's going to come off and be out of our way for the remainder of the job. Okay, so with the plate removed, you can see the underside of the transmission. So back here, that's our drain plug back there. Now this is the level plug, and if you have a Hyundai, this comes into play. Basically, you put fluid in, run it hot, add more fluid until it drains out of here, job done. But this transmission is mounted at a different angle than it is in a Hyundai. So we can use that method, but we put the plug in and then add 24 more ounces of fluid. Or we can use the dipstick method, which I've got the dipstick, and that goes at the back on the top, obviously, of the transmission. There's a plug, and that's underneath the air filter box. And then the fill plug is up here underneath the battery box. Unfortunately, I'm having difficulty aligning my motivation to complete this task with the importance of completing this task. But I'm out here now. Let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is pull off the air box. The ECU has to stay connected, so I'll probably just move that out of the way. It seems like I will have to run it to some extent with some of these components out of the way, just to warm up the transmission and everything. So there may be some parts going back in halfway, and you know, I don't know, whatever. We'll see how it goes. One thing I do want to do is check on the current fluid level. As I dig into this, I've heard and read a lot of reports of low factory fill. So it may just be that it's really low on oil, and that's causing my shifting performance issues. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and that with some new fluid at the correct level, we'll be good. Let's get cracking. Our transmission's at about 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't really hot enough to check the level correctly. So I'm just going to run it up temp for a bit here and get it up to about 115, 120. Alright, our temperature is coming up pretty fast. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to remove, you look way down there, that's our level check plug. So I'm going to pull that out. Okay. Be sure to grab the sealing ring, because that will A, affect your reading, and B, you could lose it. Here's our dipstick from Amazon. Temperature right now is 10, there you go, 107-ish. So even though it's low temp, let's see how our fluid level looks. Well, that's not very confidence inspiring. It's dry, it's not even on the dipstick. So yeah, we are, I mean, there's no two ways around it. That extra few degrees is going to make a difference. We are way low on fluid. Poopy. Automotive manufacturers put dipsticks on transmission, or is this just some kind of ploy? Lifetime sealed, never has to be checked? Yeah, what's the lifetime? 200,000 kilometers apparently. Totally dry. On 15.8. So we're in near temp range, manufacturers. Bone dry. We know it doesn't leak. The fill port is under the battery, which is not that convenient. Clean Flow XX. This is a good penetrating fluid. I like it. That is our fill plug. So we can put a 3/8 in there, or we can use the larger socket around. I'm going to be gentle with this because it's just plastic. Ah, there we go. That came out pretty easily. Right on. There's one other thing we should maybe do right down there. There it is. This is our vent for the transmission, and it's probably worth pulling off and cleaning and so on, and it will allow us to fill that fluid without getting big, burps of air and stuff. So I'm going to pop that off, and then I'm going to drain the fluid. Just a half turn kind of plug, so don't force it. Well, we're getting fluid out of there at least. Doesn't smell horrible. It's a little brown. Alright, just gonna pop this back in. There we go. So that's done. Gotta clean up. These Milwaukee Fuel 3/8 ratchets, they got a lot of torque. Okay, well, this plug is, magnetized, so we expect it to collect metal, and there is indeed some, but there's no big chunks. Let's look a little closer. It's all cleaned off. I mean, it doesn't seem all that alarming, so hopefully, with fluid at the proper level, man, I hope that works. Really don't want to have to replace the transmission. Really don't want to have to replace the transmission. A lot of other projects I'd rather get to than that. I think we've let it drip long enough. So we're going to put the drain plug back in. And the torque is between 25 and 32 pound-feet. So you don't have to get too gorilla with it. I'm going to go with 30 pound-feet because it's a nice round number. That's it. We are basically done down here, I guess. I bought 5 liters of Liqui-Moly ATF Toptech 1800, which is equivalent to Hyundai SP4, as well as a bunch of others. Almost 20 bucks a liter at Napa, which was actually a pretty good price for this. So I don't want to be spilling it. What's hard for you to see is that you can just kind of see the funnel there. So that's up in the fill port, and I guess there's nothing for it but to start adding our oil. Oh, hello. What's this then? Hello? That's new. Can't I just like... Okay. Interesting. It's got this weird... I don't know. Okay, whatever. Honestly, I'd rather just like pour it in normally. Does this come out? Wow. I don't know. This is too long. It's a little excessively fancy. Okay, first quart in. 2, 3. There's number 4, and that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I'm just going to put the fill plug back in. I'm going to leave the level plug out. Just going to run it for a while. I'll have to kind of set the battery back in place, but truthfully I can probably top up the rest through the check port if need be. So I could probably just put the battery right back in. At any rate, I'll come back to you once I've got it up to temperature and we'll check the fluid level. 116, so that's pretty close. Don't want to spill that. Just on the end of the dipstick, which means we're already better than where we were. We want to be at about the 25 millimeter mark though. So we'll add a little fluid. This is where this funny cap is going to really actually come in handy. Run it through the gears. Check. Okay, so we're at about 10. Keep going. That's all she wrote. If we need more, I don't have any more. But if we're close, we're still way better than we were. Way better. Survey says... we are between the 20 and the 25. I can't complain about that at all. Yeah, we're right there. So, you know, we're kind of there. I'm gonna call it like 22, which is great. Plug goes in, same torque as the fill plug, and then I'm gonna hose this down with some cleaner just to get all the oil off. And then it's just buttoning it back up, all the parts we took off. and a road test. Myself a little spot where I will never forget this little experience. 6F24 dipstick.
Palm trees, broken roads, desert dust bowl